They say humiliation makes you stronger. They never mention how quiet it feels. The moment laughter turns into a blade, slicing through everything you thought was safe. I still remember the sound, the clinking of glasses, the flash of a phone camera, the way Derek's voice rose above the crowd, sharp, confident, cruel. "Everyone, meet Lena!" The woman who literally paid for this party, including my credit card debt. People laughed. I smiled. And something inside me, something that had been asleep for years, finally opened its eyes. Later that night, when I stood in the bathroom of that downtown bar, I looked at myself in the mirror under the harsh blue light. Mascara streaked, lipstick smudged. But my eyes were steady. That was the moment I realized love wasn't supposed to humiliate. It was supposed to hold, and when it doesn't, you learn to hold yourself instead. So I wiped my face, walked back into the crowd, and smiled again. Not the same smile. A new one. The kind you wear when you already know what you're about to take away, because revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes, it just smiles. 3 years before that night, I thought I'd found freedom. Derek was everything I thought I needed. Charming, funny, ambitious. A man who could make a broken lamp sound like destiny. I met him on a Wednesday night when the power in my apartment went out. I'd been crying over a rejection email from a hospital I'd dreamed of working at, and then darkness. I called maintenance, and he showed up 20 minutes later with a crooked smile and a toolbox that looked too clean to be real. "Lucky timing," he said, holding up a flashlight that cut a beam through the dark. "Most people wait hours. You must have good karma." He fixed the fuse in under 5 minutes and stayed for an hour. We talked about everything. How I was a nurse who hated hospitals. How he was an electrician, temporarily between big projects. I remember laughing. It felt light. It felt safe. That night he texted, "Let me take you out sometime. You deserve better lighting." And I said yes. For the first 6 months, Derek made me feel seen. He remembered small things, my favorite coffee, the song I hummed when I worked late. He'd leave notes on the fridge like, "You're the reason mornings don't suck." I thought that was love, but slowly, the notes stopped. The jokes changed, and the man who once told me, "You light up rooms," began saying things like, "God, you overthink everything," or, "You should be grateful I'm still here. Most guys wouldn't deal with your moods." The shift was so gradual I almost missed it. One day, he forgot his wallet. Then his rent. Then his car payment. He always had a reason. Works late with my paycheck, or I'm investing in something huge. I paid. Every time. Because love, I thought, was teamwork. Then he moved in, said it'd save money. I didn't realize what it really saved was him. From responsibility, from effort, from consequence. He started controlling small things, which friends I saw, which dresses I wore. At first, I thought he was protective. Then I realized he was just afraid of losing control. Looking back, the red flags weren't red. They were fluorescent. But love makes you colorblind. Still, every time he smiled, I told myself, this is normal. He loves you. He just has bad days. And maybe, if I tried harder, he'd go back to being the man with the flashlight in the dark. But he didn't. He just learned how to make sure the light never stayed on long enough for me to see the truth. So when my 29th birthday came around, and he said, "Dress nice, I've got a big surprise for you," I believed him. That night, under those cold blue lights, I finally learned what the surprise really was. The bar smelled like perfume and whiskey. Blue lights shimmered against mirrored walls, and laughter bounced off the glass like broken applause. I walked in, smiling, expecting warmth, candles, friends, maybe even a cake. Instead, I saw Derek standing center stage with a microphone. He looked radiant, confident, too confident. When he spotted me, his grin widened. That kind of smile you only wear when you know something no one else does. "Everyone," he shouted over the music. "This is Lena, my beautiful, generous girlfriend." People cheered. I blushed instinctively. He went on, "She's the best. She even paid off my credit card debt last month. Can you believe that? What a keeper!" The laughter hit like thunder. At first I thought I'd misheard. Then I saw Tara, blonde, sharp-eyed, always too close to him at work, laughing so hard she had to lean on someone's shoulder. "Wow, Derek," she said loudly. "Maybe she can pay my student loans next." The room blurred. I felt my pulse in my ears, my throat tightening. But I smiled. I always smiled. That's what he liked, a girlfriend who didn't make scenes. He leaned in close, breath hot with beer. "Don't be dramatic," he whispered. "It's just a joke. You know me." Yes, I did. I knew him better than anyone in that room. I knew the exact tremor in his hand when he lied, the way his voice dipped when he felt guilty, and there was no dip now. He wasn't sorry. He was proud. The crowd started chanting, "Speech, speech!" I stood there, the lights blinding, his arm heavy around my waist. Every nerve in my body screamed, "Run." But instead I said softly, "You know what, Derek? I actually like this gift." He grinned, relieved. "See, you do have a sense of humor." I tilted my head. "It helps me see clearly." He frowned. "See what?" I smiled, slow, sharp. "How stupid I've been." The laughter faltered. Someone dropped a glass. I walked away, heels clicking against the tile, leaving a trail of silence behind me. Outside, the winter air slapped my skin awake. The city buzzed, horns, voices, wind. But inside me there was only stillness. Not sadness. Not anger. Just clarity. That night, as I waited for a cab, I watched him through the bar window. He was laughing again, arm around Tara, mouth open wide. And for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt awake. I didn't go home that night. Home wasn't home anymore. It was a museum of things we'd built together that only he got to live in. So I texted the only person who'd understand. "You up?" 10 minutes later, I was in Qley's kitchen, barefoot, still in the same dress. The clock read 2:13 a.m. She handed me a glass of wine without asking questions. "Talk," she said. And I did. Every word spilled out like smoke. The joke, the laughter, the way he looked at me while everyone else laughed at me. The way I smiled because it was safer than crying. When I finished, Qley didn't say, "I'm sorry." She said, "You know what people like him fear the most?" I shook my head. "Silence," she said. "They live on reactions. Don't feed them." Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with a quiet fury. "People like Derek," she went on, "only stop when they lose something they can't buy back. Trust, peace, respect." I laughed bitterly. He never respected me. "Then start respecting yourself," she said simply. That sentence hit harder than his joke ever did. When I got up to leave, Qley hugged me tight. "You don't have to scream to make noise," she whispered. "Just make moves he'll never hear coming." The walk to her spare room felt lighter than the night outside. I stared at the ceiling, eyes wide open, listening to the silence. For the first time, it didn't scare me. For 3 days, I didn't cry. I didn't even speak. Silence was the only thing that didn't hurt. Derek still texted me, his words swinging between fake concern and guilt-laced manipulation. "You're overreacting. It was just a joke. Don't embarrass yourself by acting like a victim." I stared at those messages and realized something. He wasn't scared I'd leave. He was scared I'd finally stop reacting. The morning of the 4th day, I woke up early. The city outside was gray, Boston in midwinter, the color of resignation. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and wrote a single title at the top of a blank document, Project Clean Slate. It wasn't rage that guided me. It was logic. Revenge, I realized, wasn't about destruction. It was about restoration, putting back what was stolen piece by piece. Step 1. Finances. I opened the online banking portal, the joint account he insisted on 2 years ago. The one that, coincidentally, only I ever deposited into. He used it for everything: rent, bills, business expenses. In 30 minutes, I had the account transferred entirely to my name. The system required no additional verification. I'd set it up originally. Derek never bothered to learn how it worked. That was his first mistake. Step 2. Documentation. I scrolled through old emails and receipts, the car under my name, the utilities in my name, even his phone plan. Every proof of our shared life was a paper trail that led back to me. Step 3. Reputation. I opened a hidden folder on my phone titled Voice Notes Derek. Dozens of clips. Late-night rants. Drunken confessions. One particular file stood out. She's dumb enough to think I love her. I just need her card and a place to stay. I listened once. Then again. Each time my pulse slowed instead of quickened. That's when I knew I was past anger. At noon, Derek came home. He'd taken the day off, probably expecting an apology. He stood in the doorway holding 2 coffees. Hey, we should talk. I looked up from my laptop. Sure, about what? He hesitated. About Saturday. You know I didn't mean to humiliate you. A week later, I left Boston. The air was cold, sharp, clean, the kind that bites your lungs but clears your head. I drove north toward Vermont, where the snow looked untouched, and the world sounded softer. On the way, I stopped at a post office. A small box waited for me, Qley's handwriting on the label. Inside was a kitten wrapped in a blue towel. Her note read, "For your new beginning." I named her June, because she arrived in June, the month I was finally free. That night, in the cabin I rented near Lake Champlain, I opened my laptop one last time. A new message sat in my inbox. From Derek Vaughn. Subject, please. I didn't open it. I just watched the cursor hover over delete, then clicked. No hesitation. No trembling. Just silence. Outside, the moonlight spilled across the snow like forgiveness. June curled up beside me, purring softly, the sound of something small and alive learning to trust again. Maybe that's what I was doing too. I poured a glass of wine and raised it toward the window, where my reflection stared back. Not the broken woman from that birthday, but someone entirely new. Here's to silence, I whispered. The kind that heals, not hides. Before going to bed, I crossed out the last line in my journal, take everything back, and wrote beneath it, never apologize for choosing yourself. The next morning, sunlight poured through the window, painting everything gold. I opened the door, felt the chill on my face, and smiled. Boston was behind me. Peace was ahead. And somewhere in between, the woman I used to be, the one who stayed silent, finally disappeared. Because revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes it simply closes the door and never looks back.